Hey, um, so I've been working with the Hexabind library for a little bit now, and I have managed to get it to work pretty seamlessly on my client end. Um, the creator has done a pretty good job on this project already, but just thought I'd show you guys how I've got it working so far, and um, yeah, and basically what I've done to set that up. So I guess I'll start off showing you the configuration. So I've got the Hexabind dependency already defined in my GWT module, and I'm using these models here. So this is just a test application with a couple of useless models, but anyway, it's a Hibernate persistence model, so it's got all of the Hibernate information on it. Basically, this is like the main model object of my application, which reflects to the database, and then I have the observable annotation. Now that's the Hexabind annotation, which basically says that this object needs to be observed pretty much by the binding tool, where you can actually start to bind data together, and when something updates, say for example the email updates, gets changed, the binder will detect the change and update whatever fields are bound to that property, so in this case email. So yeah, anyway, so I'll just show you the example here. I've got a form set up with the value, name and the description. These fields here all match, the names all match the setting names, which if I go back into, I'll show you. So I've got it's in the base setting. That's another cool thing that I've just recently implemented into Hexabinders, so you can check the superclasses of whatever model you're checking. So I've got the value, description and the name, as you can see, matches everything. So I'll just go back. The type was also something that I've got in there as well. I was just having a fiddle with listbox attachment. So anyway, basically what happens is it creates an object, it saves the object to the database, and then excuse me, returns that object and sets it to this form and binds it. So this is all the code I'm using to actually configure all of these components here. These 2 or 3 lines of code. Well, really 2 lines of code. Yeah, and then so I'm using this little piece of code here. It's just a button click handler, so when you click the button that's going to be on the screen, it'll automatically change the list box field, even though I've changed the setting name. So it just gives you an idea of the binding. So I'll show you how it works real quick. Also, the reflections bundle is also something you've got to register, so you can't forget that, otherwise you get none of the reflection data, which just looks like this. It's got the list of some of the classes you want to be reflected. The observable classes automatically get reflected and added to the bundle, but anything else that you're wanting to put in there you have to manually define. So let's go ahead and I'll show you the example. Okay, so I have just some simple text box here that I'm just going to add an email because it's required for creating a setting. And now if I add in a setting now, it's going to create a setting, and as you can see it's created that form, and it's applied the binding to that form by simply calling the map2 method. So it's saying binder.bind object, give me the setting, or give me whatever object you want me to define and bind, and then map it to this, in this case, this form. And the map2 function is really cool. It tries to detect the values in the class to map to, and so it's obviously seeing that I have a value which matches, which is value. I've got a name that matches inside of the setting, and I've got a description that is also defined in there as well. So yeah, it works really well. It's pretty cool, and I'll show you now when you actually change the setting here, and so click. As you can see, all I've done is change the setting variable, the name variable, and it's automatically updated that for me. And of course I can write that to the database. It's saying it's not correctly done, but it actually is done. It's just a user interface error. So anyway, that's pretty much it. You can change all of this stuff, and you can change all of these and update again, and you'll notice I'll show you the database really quickly. One second, and I'll just view data. So as you can see, it's pretty much in exact sync with the data that I just wrote in, and I'm doing that all in 2 lines of code. So that's pretty cool. And so I can make all these cool changes. I can even change that to date. So you'll notice the email integer, is it email? No, type integer, sorry, is 3 at the moment. So when I click update and then we refresh, oh whoops, sorry, that's not update, this one's update. And then hit refresh, you can see it's updated all of the values into the database. So yeah, that's pretty cool. That's just been a quick overview of the Hexabind tool, which it wasn't founded by me. I've just been working on it recently, doing some updates and just helping out with it as well. I'll show you the website. So they've got the GitHub, and oh, that's the Reddit. That's not what I'm looking for. I suppose it's just on GitHub. Yeah, so they have a whole bunch of other tools here as well, but the one I'm particularly interested in is the Hexabinding for the GWT. Yeah, so anyway, that's been a quick overview. Hopefully you guys like it. Cool. One last thing before I go actually is I forgot to mention there's no more boilerplate code needed to actually get the models to be observable. I've created a GWT generator now, which will automatically defer you an observable object when you basically call GWT.create to create an object. And so what I've done is I've set it up so that my Jackson JSON parser gets a message from the server. It will create, by default, it will use this JSON creator to create a new instance of the setting through the deferred GWT.create way of doing it. So that basically keeps it so it's going through the generator, and the generator will return you the observable type, which is actually a generated class, an annotation generated class. As you can see here, I've got observable setting and observable email. So if I go into here, you'll see it's just a standard annotation generated class, which just has some boilerplate glue stuff. So that will basically register it automatically for you. A couple of the constructors, a copy constructor in case you just want to pass in and copy an object, and then you have the actual methods which are used to invoke a notification to the Hexabind binder to say something's changed and we need to figure out what data we need to bind that to. So yeah, and that just gives you that capability without having to do anything. So normally what you'd have to do is you'd have to create a new observable object. So instead of me doing this, sorry, here it is. Okay, so instead of me doing just passing the setting, I'd actually have to do this originally until I rewrote it for myself. I'd have to do that, which uses that annotation generated class of my setting. As you can see as well, I forgot to mention it extends the setting class, obviously. so it's just an extension of it, and then that would be an observable thing, but we don't need to do that anymore because like I said, the JSON creator is now pumping out a deferred object which has basically gone through the generator, and it said, okay, well, you're looking for the setting class. We'll give you an observable setting object to give you that capability to bind the object. So yeah, anyway, it's pretty cool. It's coming along nicely. It's working really well for me so far, and yeah, I definitely recommend it. Cool. See you later.